Hello students, this will be the next class of your IM subject. What I have taught you in my last class is about the different price to book valuation, price to sales ratio and price earning ratio. Today we are going to discuss about the another topic, free cash flow valuation. Free cash flow is basically, as I said, many firms do not pay dividend. Okay, as I said, here if you see, you have three methods under dividend capitalization model. I have already explained you this. Um, and dividend capitalization model, zero constant and variable growth rate model I have explained you. And price earning ratio and price to book and price to sales ratio, the only thing what we are left out with free cash flow valuation. We're going to discuss about that. So many firms do not currently pay dividends. Theoretically, dividend division model will work, but extremely difficult to estimate when dividends will begin and what growth rate will be. So, alternative to dividend decision model is calculating present value of free cash flow. So, this is an alternative to that is calculating the free cash flow. So, there are two approaches: free cash flow to equity and free cash flow to firm. Free cash flow to equity means like estimate how much cash the firm could pay out as dividends if it wanted to. Free cash flow of equity. So think of this as potential dividend. Calculate the present value of future free cash flow to equity to get value of equity assets. So this is one way of calculating the free cash flow to equity. How you're going to calculate is you get the net income, right? So you have to, net income is nothing but the profit which you got, which you will get, that one you're going to add back the depreciation minus capital expenditure. Capital expenditure means if at all any expenditures you have made for using it for a longer period. So minus change in non-cash working capital, that's long term assets again, plus net new debt or issued. New debt issued means over here the long term debt, if at all any is there, that has to be taken. That is how you get the free cash flow to equity. So you're going to get the profit, you're going to take the profit, you're going to add the depreciation minus if at all any capital expenditure are there, minus changes in non-cash working capital, plus new debt issued. So free cash flow to equity, total value of equity will be free cash flow to equity divided by KE minus GK. CS is nothing but cost of capital minus growth. That is how you get the total value of equity if you want. So free cash flow, if you have got what we have calculated this manner, you're going to take this all the value, then you're going to divide it by the cost of capital minus growth. So this is nothing but divide this number by the number of shares outstanding, get the estimate intrinsic value of one share. So free cash flow to firm, it represents the cash flows available each that could be distributed to all the security holders. To firms it is. To equity means that is how we have we have taken out the depreciation and if at all any capital expenditure is there and if at all any non-current asset or that is working capital is there, you're going to add back the debt amount. Here what you're going to take is cash flows available to distribute all the equity shareholders, equity security holders, that includes shareholders and debt shareholders. Shareholders means the equity or preference, debt holders means the debenture what you give for a longer period. That also will be in a free cash flow assets. So how you're going to calculate the free cash flow to firm is free cash flow to equity minus new debt instrument if at all is there, long term debt or debenture, plus interest. Interest, it's nothing but the interest what you pay on that particular debt as such. So free cash flow to firm is nothing but net income plus depreciation minus capital expenditure minus changes plus interest as such. So that how you are going to calculate the value of a firm is free cash flows to firm by working capital weighted average cost of capital minus growth. So this is the value of overall firm to get share value, subtract value of debt and divided by number of shares as such. Estimating the intrinsic value of a stock by comparing it to other stocks, usually done by comparing the level of some accounting variables such as earnings, sales or book value. In some industries, non-accounting numbers might be used, like cable industry, amount of oil in industry. Whatever the basis of comparison, the process is essentially the same. So this is how. I hope it is clear to all of you the free cash flow to firm and free cash flow to equity. So here if you see, if you want me to give the clear definition of this free cash flows, it represents the cash a company generates after accounting for cash outflows to support operations and maintain its capital assets. So it's nothing but the cash a company generates, the company gets after accounting for cash outflows, after distributing out the dividends or the interest that has to be given to outside parties, to support operations and maintain its capital assets, to maintain its current position of the business. Unlike earnings or net income, free cash flows is a measure of profitability that excludes the non-cash expenses of the income statement and includes the spending on equipment and assets as well as changes in working capital from the balance sheet as such. So, interest payments are excluded from generally accepted definition of free cash flows. Investment bankers, analysts who need to evaluate a company expected performance with different capital structure will use variation of cash flows through free cash flows of firm or free cash flows of equity, and this is what I hope it is clear to all of you. Now we are going to move on to the next topic. So now what is your next topic is calculation of Sensex and Nifty you have. So what you're going to discuss in your third unit, the next topic is probably this one, the Sensex and Nifty. How we are going to calculate the Sensex and Nifty value. Basically, first of all, let's study what is the basic idea of NSE and BSE. Bombay Stock Exchange is BSE is the oldest stock exchange in Asia with a rich heritage. It's popularly known as BSE. It was established in Mumbai, the Native Share and Stock Brokers Association in 1875 as such. So it is the first exchange in the country to obtain permanent recognition in 1956 from the Government of India under the Securities Contract Act 1956. So the Indian capital market is widely recognized and its index Sensex is tracked worldwide. So basically two things are there under the stock exchange. Basically BSE is nothing but the index of it is called as Sensex. So it is a Indian capital market. Mumbai, the second most top market in India is BSE. The first one is NSE, that is National Stock Exchange. Earlier, an association of person of exchange is now a demonetized and corporate entity incorporated under the provision of Companies Act 1956, 2005, notified by Securities and Exchange Board of India. So it consists of 30 largest and most actively traded stocks representative of various sectors on the Bombay Stock Exchange. So BSE basically it is nothing but a stock of 30 shares. So 30 topmost companies who trade on BSE will be tracked over here, will be traded. It could be from any of the sectors. So these companies account for majority of the market capitalization of BSE. So market capitalization means the 30 shares will be playing in the market and their capitalization will be done through BSE. At irregular intervals, the Bombay Stock Exchange authorities review and modify its composition to make sure it reflects current market condition. So that's one thing. So basically the index of it is called as Sensex. Nifty, now when you come to Nifty, is an index of 50 shares. Remember, this is very important. The basic difference between two is Nifty is for 50 shares, BSE is for 30 shares, and index of BSE is Sensex, NSE index is Nifty. Okay, So Nifty is an index or an indicator of performance of companies listed in NSE, situated in Delhi. It constitutes of 50 shares, and the change in index up and down indicate the trend in majority of the stocks. So Nifty is a joint holding of NSE and Indian Index Service and Products Limited, and Nifty accounts 70% of total market capitalization. So in India, 70% of total capitalization is calculated through Nifty. So Nifty is an index component for performance of top stocks from different sectors listed on NSE. 50 companies from 24 different sectors. So basically it consists of 50 companies from 24 different sectors. So different one or two sectors may have similar trading in NSE assets. So that will be done through NSE assets, Nifty. Nifty as I said, it stands for National Stock for 50 shares. So the company which form index of Nifty may vary from time considered by NSE. Nifty is the for NSE. Similarly, Sensex is for BSE. As I said, BSE index is Sensex, whereas NSE index is Nifty. I hope it is clear to all of you. This is the theoretical part of it. Now, so this is what we have discussed just now. So some mutual funds are use Nifty index as a benchmark, meaning the mutual fund performance is compared against the performance of Nifty. So mutual fund as nothing but it's a pool of funds from the various investors who have a common goal. On NSE there are futures and options available for trading with Nifty as an underlying index. So India Index Service and Products Limited, IISL, owns Nifty. So IISL is a joint venture of NSE and CRISIL. CRISIL is nothing but credit rating agency it is. So it's a subsidiary of Standard and Poor, S&P, and so Nifty is called as an S&P CNX Nifty. I hope it is clear to all of you. So it's been owned by IISL, India Index Services and Product Limited, and the joint venture of NSE and CRISIL. NSE is National Stock Exchange. CRISIL is nothing but Credit Rating Institute Services of India Limited. CRISIL is a subsidiary of Standard and Poor as such. And Standard and Poor is an international company. That's an index again, like how it's a stock. It's again a market capital. And so Nifty is called a NSP and S&P CNX Nifty. So this is how it looks. If you check out this, revenue has been written, operating profit, everything is written of CRISIL, Standard and Poor company. That's a CRISIL. If you check out the credit rating agency, what they do is they rate the companies based on their performance, their repayment capacity, and their performance in the stock market. So these are the stock exchanges. Just check out them. Nasdaq, it's an London stock, New York Stock Exchange, another one. S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial Average, BSE Sensex, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Korea, Singapore, London, Frankfurt, Paris Stock Exchange as such. So how it works, let's discuss now how Sensex and Nifty works. So now market capitalization refers to value of companies' outstanding shares. So how the companies are working, how the companies are getting the returns on particular stock, we are going to calculate. So outstanding shares are nothing but number of shares issued by company and subscribed by the public. So number of shares issued and subscribed by the public as such. So market capitalization, it includes current market price of a stock into shares outstanding. So the current market price, like say let's assume company XYZ has 10 million shares. Okay, there are 6 zeros. So 10 million shares outstanding, or 100 if you say 100 lakhs, 1 crore shares, it's been 7 zeros there, or 10 million shares outstanding, and the current share price is ₹90. Based on this information in the formula above, we can calculate that the company's XYZ market capitalization is 1 crore into 90. That will come to 90 90 crores, 90 crore rupees as such. So that is how you calculate the market capitalization. So basically, market capitalization is nothing but the value of a company's outstanding shares. The value of a company's outstanding shares as such. So the number of how much it's the value, the actual value of a company is. So outstanding shares are nothing but the number of shares issued by the company and subscribed by the public. So that is how you calculate the market capitalization. Current market price of a stock, the current how much price is there, 100 rupees, 1000 rupees, 10 rupees, whatever it is, that is nothing but the current market price. Outstanding means they have the number of shares in the market to be purchased by the public. So that is how you multiply it. 10 lakhs, 10 million into 90. That is how you get the 90 million as free float market capitalization. It is defined as the value of a share readily available in the market for public trading, excluding the promoter's equity holding through FDI route, holding by private corporate, and holding by employee welfare fund. So first of all, what is free float market capitalization is? It is defined as the value of shares readily available in the market for public trading, excluding the promoter's equity. So it's readily available in the market for public trading. That is promoting equity holding through FDI route, foreign direct investment, holding by private company, and holding by employee welfare fund. So why free float market capitalization? Because it depicts the market more rationally. Okay, it removes undue influence of government and promoters shareholding, therefore by giving them equal opportunities for company to be in Sensex. Almost all the indices over the world are calculated by this methodology. By this methodology only indices are calculated. It gives fund manager more authentic information. So the formula for calculating Sensex is sum of the free flow market capital of 30 blue chip companies into index factor. As I said, Sensex is nothing but share BSE index it is. So it is a BSE is a Bombay stock exchange with 30 shares it is. So free float market capital of 30 blue chip companies into index factor. So index factor is basically, let's say 100. Market capital in 1978-1979. So where 100 is the index value in 1978-99. So he's saying, let's do a problem. Let's check out a problem. Assume the Sensex has only two stocks, namely SBI and Reliance. Total shares in SBI are 500, out of which 200 are held by government, and only 300 are available for public trading. Reliance has 1000 shares, out of which 500 are held by promoters and 500 are available for trading. So now what do you mean by this over here is a Sensex. It's one of the share of BSE. Okay. Two stocks, namely SBI and Reliance, are there. Okay. Total shares in SBI are 500, out of which 200 are held by the government, and only 300 are available for public trading. So 300 is only available. Reliance has 1000, 500 is held by the promoters, and 500 are available for trading. So assume price of SBI stock is 100 rupees and Reliance is 200 rupees. So then free float market capitalization of these two companies will be the remaining 300 left out by the government has taken 200, 300 is being left out, into 100, that is nothing but of SBI, plus 500 is nothing but the available amount of Reliance, into the price. How much it is? The price is 200. So you want to multiply them. 30,000 plus 1 lakh. So it will be 1,30,000. Assume that the market capital during this period is 25,000. Let's assume the market capital will be, this is how you calculated market capital, right? This is how we calculated the current market price of a stock into shares outstanding. So this is how you do 25,000, let's say. So 1,30,000 into 100 divided by 25,000. So the Sensex amount is 520. So this is how you calculate the Sensex. I hope it is clear. See guys, two stocks I have taken an example, SBI and Reliance, who trade on BSE. So SBI 200 is been taken over by the government. Only 300 shares are available, which we are assuming it for 100 rupees. And out of Reliance, out of 1000, we are giving out 500 for government, and 500 is remaining, which we are expecting 200 rupees. So 300 into 100, 500 into 200, we have added that. We get 11,30,000. So now using this formula, we are calculating the market capital, right? So market capital at that period is 25,000, let's say. So the census amount will be 1,30,000 into 100 divided by 25,000. This is how you calculated the Sensex. So now coming to sectorial index. A sectoral index is a measure of relative value of a group of stocks in numerical terms. As stocks within index change value, the index value changes. An index is an important measure of the performance of an investment against a relevant market index as such. So index is used to give information about the price movement of products in the financial commodities or any other market. So they are constructed to measure the price movement such as stocks, bonds, or treasury bills as such. So they all include these, all the sectors are included. So this is how BSE line is. This is the NX and Sensex. Yeah guys, now when you talk about this time, what we have discussed is about the Sensex. So calculation of Nifty is also similar. Nifty is calculated through free float market capitalization weighted method, just like Sensex. So Nifty is also also follows a mathematical formula based on the market capitalization. So basically what we take is again market capital, if at all is any there, the number of the price into the outstanding shares of a stock. And using that, what we do is, if at all stocks are left out, we are going to multiply them with their price. Then we are going to divide it by the market capitalization. So free float, to determine the free float capitalization, equity capital is multiplied by a price, which is further multiplied with the IWF, which is the factor for determining the number of shares available for trading freely in the market. So the index is determined on a daily basis by taking into consideration the current market value divided by the base market capital and then multiplied by the base index value of 1000. So that is what it is guys. I hope it is clear to all of you, the Sensex and Nifty. So what was the syllabus over here was, I hope it is clear. With this I am done with the third unit. What was practical was all about dividend capitalization model and earning capitalization ratio. Apart from that, all the thing is theory and formulas are there little bit. So NSE, Sensex and Nifty, you just check it out this and write down on notes. It will be more easier for you to understand it. So both Sensex and Nifty are stock market index used to determine the value and strength of the stock market. So since NFT is more diversified, has more stock listed as compared to BSE, more trading is done in NSE. So however, in reality, both target the large cap stocks, and performance over the years have turned out to be similar. Their performance is turned out to be similar as such. So I hope it is clear to all of you, the calculation of NFT and Sensex. So with this, I'm done with the third unit. So in my next class, I'm going to start the fourth unit. That is again, it's related to capital market line. One top capital asset pricing model is left out over here. That is, we are going to study in the fourth unit as such. So with this, I'm going to wind up the class. See you all of you guys. Bye all of you. Take care.